a song has been playing on repeat in my head all afternoon, and the lyric, all I know is that love will save the day. It's a whole vibe of this energy right now. I'll put the song on the screen as well so you can search it. You know, whenever somebody comes back into your life, it doesn't matter what the label is or isn't, it all comes down to how much have you been making your unconscious mind conscious? How much have you been understanding the cycles that you are in from a very young age because of all the connections that you have or haven't experienced, the effects of all of this, right? You understand that there was time apart, even karmic situations that took place in between that time happened for a reason, because, you know, specifically if you're on the divine journey and your divine counterparts, you need to come together in that kind of divine space. You are your divine self. That's what you've awakened in each other, right? To get to that stage. The karmic situations you're in between the separation time is because those are the kind of energies that you can heal and learn through, not through each other. You'll know this because when you went to separation, it was triggering because you were in your wounded states. Hanged man, that's like confirmation of that separation. King of Wands at the bottom of the deck. It's kind of like you're understanding how you needed to take lead in your own life without kind of externally putting it out there and blaming or shaming or anything like that yourself or others, right? Queen of Pentacles. There's this energy of really stepping into your worth, knowing who you are, and also something about beauty is coming through big. You know, your self-worth, which is huge with this Queen of Pentacles, has been growing massively. You've been understanding what you do need in your life versus what you don't, and who and what serves you, right? As you access this space of self-worth, you recognize that even beauty, you know, I heard this video and it was something about, oh, everybody looks good these days because everyone can have surgery, so now it's all about energy. But truthfully, regardless of how somebody looks, whether they have a surgery or not, the energy is what always comes first. That's kind of the reflection of your soul and where your soul's at on its journey. Yeah, look at this, Five of Pentacles versus Queen of Pentacles. Strength at the bottom of the deck. There's been heavy realizations here about self-worth. Your beauty is, every soul is truly, has its own version of beauty. King of Cups. I think someone's realized your worth. And Nine of Wands. They've been going through a lot of like tough cycles. They're healing through kind of, I'm hearing, you know, when I said blame and shame, I think this is what they've been healing through. Gaining a lot of resilience, but also gaining a lot of, I had like might. So kind of like courage and strength. Oh my God, the Tower. Yeah, they have. You know, I don't think they realised that it would hit them as hard, you know, you in their life, but it was meant to be so that you could really connect, Five of Cups, the bottom deck, connect each other to your divine selves. That song is coming back again. Six of Wands. See, you've successfully, Six of Pentacles, the bottom deck, been moving towards this higher self version of self, right, which has always existed within you. You just need to access that. You need to go through your cycle so you can really connect to a divine self, right? It's like you're understanding the wounded state versus the, you know, I'm hearing like being really cut off and guarded from a place of wanting to protect yourself. We've got this beautiful, I think that I am getting this energy, that this feminine energy here was in the kind of like, having been through so much, she knew her worth, but this is kind of what caused some kind of separation and conflict between you two, because this masculine energy wasn't in their worth. They didn't understand that, right? But now they're understanding that, and they're seeing you glowing more than ever, they're even more attracted to you than ever, because they're understanding now where you were coming from at that time. Yeah, there's been a huge pause here, it feels like. And now they're wanting to create from this like new, more mature energy. I just keep hearing mature. I mean, they're clearly, this would have been, you would have had memories of them being kind of, oh my God, a pigeon just like flew into the window. That just scared, whoa. Okay, that must mean something. Really scared me. My heart's beating really fast. I think that there's been like some serious like shake-ups that you just weren't expecting, like shocks and everything. And someone, this is why it's had to take a while. I can't believe that just happened. A while. 10 of Wands as well. Eight of Cups, they've walked away from you, it feels like, but what they were doing was they were walking away from this wounded self, because that's how they were operating at that time. Your glow, your light is heavily being missed here. Someone wants to come in, but they don't want to, I'm hearing they don't want to like scare you or like put you off in any way, so they're being really mindful. Six of Cups, they're thinking about the past. Hierophant at the bottom of the deck, they're really thinking about how to do things differently and to do things in a way that's way more leveled up. Okay. King of Swords. See, they don't want to be guarded, you know. Being in that headspace can really, when you're in that logic space, you're hearing all the voices outside of you more than anything, because your logic, your mind, your conscious state has been created by all of the categories outside of you, right? Whereas when you tap more into your heart, you're tapping more into kind of your higher knowing, right? Yes, there's only a wounded heart, which is the ego trying to protect and shield you, but that's what you've needed to heal through, right? I think that's what somebody's understanding. They're recognizing that actually beyond it all, no matter who and what comes back into each other's lives, you're recognizing the reason why it had to happen the way it did, and the cycles that you have been going through, and that what you triggered within each other, what you awoke within each other as well, and the reason why you're so drawn to each other, or you have some kind of unfinished business maybe, okay? You see things from a higher perspective. You gain, once you learn your own that own kind of unconscious state within yourself, you start to bring that into your conscious awareness. You really start to see your own shadows, which helps you to understand the shadows outside of you. Death, transformation. There's been a lot of rebirths here. It's not about accepting mistreatment, it's about recognizing that actually everyone has traumas, but some people's traumas are going to be very different to yours, number one. And number two, they're going to be responding to them very differently as well, okay? The Moon and the Knight of Wands. I think someone's understanding that this is more than just an attraction. Yeah, they finally understood that, whereas before they probably just kind of brushed it off as, oh, you know, it was just maybe like lust-fueled or whatever. Six of Pentacles here. It's taken them a while to heal through whatever. I think they've had some deep wounded traumas, right? That doesn't mean that you don't have your boundaries up. Yes, you're in compassion and you accept with unconditional love that everybody has their journey, right? Your boundaries are still secure, because you need to know that this person, this energy, will treat you accordingly, right? You both, again, are accessing that divine self. Page of Pentacles. It feels like there's been, and then the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here. Someone's been really growing. That it's kind of like they've had to grow from the ground up again. With the Hanged Man being the first card, it really is about a pause here, wait, that you've been going through, right? So understanding that the cycles that you've been healing through are what's helping you to find that alignment within yourself, right? I do feel like there's a feminine energy who's had a lot of kind of guarded masculine energies around her, that she's had to step into that kind of I've heard self-catering role, you know, that kind of space where she has to take care of herself. She has to know her worth because of what she's experienced outside of her. Has always been kind of conflicting energies, right? And yeah. And I feel like the masculine energy has just been kind of operating from the subconscious state, and this is what they're realizing now, that they have a really like beautiful heart space, and how not to allow that to be taken advantage of anymore. Soulmate connection. Of course, when I say soulmate, I think that for me, that means that you have a really deep soul connection here. Children. So something about children might be significant here. It could also be that I've heard that this might be something to do with moving forwards, right? You might have this on your mind, but also there's been a lot of inner child healing taking place during this like time apart, okay? Separation, confirmation, that is what this reading is about, okay? You deserve love. You've been learning how to recognize the qualities within yourself that are so lovable. And that since you were a child, you were taught to either be guarded and really self-protective over, or just really silence and suppress yourself, right? And to not know your own heart in that way, heart-to-heart conversations. And this is the beauty of it. You've been unraveling and uncovering this, both of you, to the point where you can get to this space where you can have these beautiful heart-to-heart conversations worth waiting for, right? Divine timing. And it does feel like it's been like long, but I feel like you're going to get to at that space. You're either at that space, you're going to get to that space where you're really appreciating the time that you've had to get to the stage where you're at, because you wouldn't be who you are had that space not been taken, right? Had you not come into each other's lives and awoken each other to this beautiful self, to a space where you are ready to, and you're also recognizing, appreciating that actually they had to, just like I did, right? This is you, had to go through these cycles the way that it did, so that you two, when you come together, you're in that more healed state. You're not going to be in that wounded state where you would have just, it just wouldn't have worked. It just would have been painful and hurtful, because actually, especially when you're in your the divine journey, you have to be in your divine self to be able to hold that frequency together. That's like the whole point, okay? Deception. This is where there's going to be some truths coming out. Okay, you need to stay optimistic about all of this, and this is kind of where that unconditional love and compassion comes in, where you start to understand someone else's journey. Too often, I think this is with anybody, you really understand that everybody's on your journey to teach you so much, and they're on their own as well, right? They have their own cycles. Everyone has these templates, that are conditioned by society of how this person should come into my life and how they should be. Yes, be true to yourself and what you desire, but in terms of like a template, it's exhausting to try to live up to a template. When you come through as your authentic, truest self, that's when you can really recognize someone for who they are, from their soul, from their heart space, and you can create this safety to love. And honeymoon is sticking up there as well, okay? So just saying. Romantic feelings. Okay, I also feel like someone's been hiding their true feelings. I've heard through a screen, okay? Attraction, yeah. The attraction is unreal, because it just is. Reconciliation at the bottom of the deck there. Okay, so this is confirmation really of everything I've been saying. I think that okay, and I just want to show you that worth waiting for is at the bottom of reconciliation there as well. Okay, so definitely been a lot of I think that you've had this, because of the way the cards are coming, I'm seeing that you both have been learning so much. I do feel like there's a masculine energy who's kind of like creating something, like cooking something. They're, because they're the one who will be taking the action that's required and needed, right? And just as I said, that communication is key, flipped up. Yes, and this is what they're preparing, it would appear, right? And I think that as the divine feminine energy, again, remember, these are energies within you that both exist within you, okay? Divine feminine energy here is really focused on, I'm hearing, not being guarded. I think that a lot of people can be intimidated by this specific divine feminine energy that's coming through. And it's funny because I think, when you know how much love you have to give, you know that you are worthy of that in return, and you also recognize who and what is worthy of that from you. Yeah, of course you give love to all souls out there, right? But ultimately, when you're talking about coming into that kind of romantic or even sexual energy, then you've got to really be mindful of what's accessing your vessel, your being, right? Expect powerful change. I think that, you both change so much during this separation that when you come together, how you move forward is going to be very different, very direct. I feel like I just keep hearing this like mature energy. Like you both are going to be in such more of a knowing of what you want and what you desire. It doesn't have to be like these heavy expectations, but you have to be in that alignment. That's the whole point, understanding what your purpose is here. I think that's the thing, you're awakened to, like being true to that now and having that heart-to-heart conversation, right? Emotions are running high. No matter what, there is a desire here to bring balance back. And I think you're both being prepared now to understand, to be in like the headspace and heart space, to be able to come together and understand and hold space for each of the cycles without holding it, like taking it personally. And I think that's the big difference here. There's just been so many lessons, and I think you're going to be shocked by the masculine energy specifically. They've already been looking at their reflection, releasing negativity. That's what they've been doing. And I think not just within themselves, which they're recognizing that they hold, right? I think that they've been through some darkness, truly, but also that they were holding on to outside of them. A win-win outcome is forecast. Also, the bottom of the deck is what do you need to release? So it might be a time to kind of reflect on what you need to release. New moons are really important. We have a new moon in a few days as well, actually, but just generally honing in on that energy. Yeah. So what can you release so that you can really allow the space and room to call through what it is that you do desire from that heart space, from like that divine alignment. So we've got honor and trust your feelings. I think that you both truly are intuitively connected in a sense. I think that any kind of guardedness really comes from fearing being vulnerable with each other. New beginnings and a fresh start. Let go of fear now. This is the thing, you know, got that courage to be in your heart space with each other, not being guarded and cut off, right? And not holding that kind of expectation for the other as well, allowing space for their vulnerability, a favorable outcome. Okay, this is your life's purpose. These are powerful cards right now. As you release kind of the old cycle that you both were in together as well, you're coming into this beautiful new alignment. In this time apart, you've really been learning how to healthily close out any past cycles, right, of woundedness, so that you can really go from that wounded state into that divine state. And that's how you're going to be coming in together to really create that space for these new versions of self, and how you can come together to align with each other and move forwards with this beautiful new purpose that you've awakened in each other. Let me know if this reading was for you. Sending so much love.